So down here we're in Georges River National Park. Doesn't really look like a national park though. As you can see, there's a kind of vast area of mown grass. Got some exotic species that were planted behind me, and this very kind of unnatural foreshore that's been artificially hardened with concrete and some sandstone blocks. So this is definitely not how national parks are managed these days, but back last century I guess they wanted to almost make it European with a nice open space, and instead of like incorporating features into nature, they just totally changed it. So yeah, I thought it'd just be a good contrast to the different type of seawall and type of management down at Carrs Park.
So we have traveled down the Georges River quite a bit. Where are we now, Rob?
So now we're at Carrs Park, which is in Georges River Council area. We're pretty close to the entrance of the river at Botany Bay. So yeah, this area behind me is a bit of a recreation hotspot. There's playing fields, cricket grounds, picnic facilities. So yeah, it's a pretty important area for the community around here.
And the development here is all promoted by council, right?
Yeah, so council has tenure of the foreshore areas above the mean high tide mark. So yeah, it's generally their responsibility to look after those areas. And they've been doing a really great job here. So formerly this area was kind of surrounded by a vertical seawall. So they're great for foreshore protection, but they don't offer many environmental outcomes for the plants, animals, sea creatures that live here. So they've actually redone this foreshore area with environmentally friendly seawalls. So they provide an area for salt marsh vegetation to grow. So salt marsh is inundated by the high tides in the area. There's a greater diversity of rocks on the lower slopes, so crabs and other invertebrates and things like that can live in there, along with seagrasses as well. So yeah, it's a really good management option.
So there's a lot of environmental benefits, obviously, and there's community benefits as well.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's no big fence separating the grass park from the kind of seawall environment here. There's little walkways for kids to run up and come and check out the rock pools. So generally salt marsh is a pretty sensitive community. They don't really like compaction, so putting in those footsteps is a great management option to balance the need of the community and the environment.
By compaction you mean any other type of surface that are good?
Yeah, so they're generally pretty muddy substrates in salt marsh areas, so if people walk on them all the time it'll turn into a kind of divot, and yeah, the salt marsh vegetation wouldn't really grow in that because that also affects tidal inundation and a whole other range of factors. So yeah, they're a pretty sensitive area, and the council here has done a really great job in promoting its growth.
Yeah. We can see a lot of residential areas surrounding this space, right? So it's there's a lot of activity happening. So this space has become really important for community, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Especially down in the lower Georges River, there's not too much foreshore access. A lot of the areas have steep rocky sides, which is pretty characteristic of a drowned river valley. So the recreation areas are generally reclaimed areas. So this might have been a larger patch of salt marsh back before it was developed, and that has been infilled and a playing field's been put on it. So yeah, these areas are really important for recreation, but previously there has been some damage to important ecological communities and environmental assets. So yeah, once again, this area is doing a really good job balancing those needs.
It's great to see these good governance decision-making processes, right, to happen around the river, to create opportunities for community and the environment to thrive and do, fun stuff, I guess, that is also very friendly for the environment or friendlier for the environment. Are there any other environmental challenges that you see here?
So, being an urban catchment of over 1.5 million residents, there's always going to be some impact from all those people. One of the main impacts is stormwater running down infrastructure into the river, because the river is obviously the lowest point. So with it, it brings a lot of pollutants, which can affect not only people's use of the water, but also affects the ecology of the river. And I guess with climate change knocking at our doorstep, there's going to be increased challenges. Like for this area here, it's only a metre or so above sea level. So there's a whole range of challenges that the river faces moving forward. We're currently helping to coordinate the production of a coastal management program, which is kind of mandated by the state government. So this will help guide management actions into the future to make sure positive outcomes occur for the river.
Of course, and when we see so many houses close to the edge of the river, there will be a lot of community engagement, right? So community engagement's a huge part of it. So there's kind of more local community engagement efforts, and then kind of statewide surveys and other inputs that will help to inform the CMP process. And of course, after every stage, there's community consultation that goes into it to make sure everyone's on board. Yeah, which requires a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And the Georges River Keeper, it's good that you are sitting at the table of these discussions, right?
Yeah. So we're kind of coordinating it with the councils. There's a management group which meets regularly to discuss how to progress it forward. But it's definitely a big process, but it'll be worth it in the end.
Of course. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
So as you can see, urban natures, this is an ecosystem on itself, obviously. We have human-made infrastructure here that is dealing with the changing environments and with the future predictions of what this is going to be in 5, 10 years. So when we think about the urban as urban geographers, it's very important to think that this is a functioning ecosystem and that we as humans are sharing it with a bunch of other species and systems here. Thank you.